The Titan 80 watt kit is the most powerful of all the Trio Vapes vapes. Along with the Polaris Vape Pen Pro, it's also 80 watts. So when you get it, it comes in the box. It comes in red, blue and gold. Inside the box you've got the mod, the tank and a spare coil. Sorry, this is the coil that it comes with, the spare coil, and also the micro USB charging cable, as well as the user manual. A really important thing to remember with the Titan, as well as a lot of other of the Trio Vapes units, is that because it's a more powerful unit, it's really important that you prime the coil before you vape for the first time and after each time when you change the coil. So I'm going to show you how to prime the coil and how to prime it properly with units that don't start on 0 watts. So first thing you do to fill the tank is you grab the coil. So that's attached to the airflow base here, and the airflow can be adjusted just by turning it. First thing you do is you grab the coil and you're going to prime it. So what that means is on the little holes on the coil, inside the coil is cotton, and what you're going to do is drop the e-liquid into those holes there so it soaks the cotton on the inside of the coil. And that's really important to do, because if you were to just fill the tank directly and screw the coil in and the coil wasn't primed, the e-liquid doesn't have enough time to soak into the cotton on the coil, and you're going to dry fire the unit, which means the cotton on the inside is just going to burn, because that's connected to the battery, and it's just going to burn out and wreck the coil straight away. The coil will burn out and you'll get a horrible taste and flavor, and you'll just have to use your new coil. So it's really important that you prime the coil, any coil that you ever use, and that's every time that you use a new coil. If you're just refilling the tank though with the same flavor and the coil's already been primed, you don't need to re-prime the coil. So you grab your coil, and with the coils of the Titan, the holes are a lot smaller. So it just means you've just got to be extra careful it doesn't, drip out and just get a lot more juice in. Sorry, e-liquid. So it is slightly harder with the Titan. I find that's a flaw in the design of the coil. It's not a big deal, but the holes are a lot smaller on this coil. So you're just going to keep dropping using a needle dropper. The finer the dropper, the better, just so you can direct it into the holes more easily. And you'll keep doing that, just keep putting more and more e-liquid in. I just do it as much, like if it's still absorbing, that's good. I try to get as much in there as I can. So you do it on all the holes around the outside, but be sure never to fill e-liquid down in the center of the coil, because if you look down it, especially if you take the coil off the base and you look down the center, it's just a hole and it goes straight through to the end, and this part attaches to here on the inside, and that part attaches to the battery. So if you do drop e-liquid down there, it's just going to run through and leak onto the inside of here, and that's not good, because you don't want the battery touching the e-liquid, you just want it on the inside of the coil. So once the coil is primed, we'll just dry it first, because with the small holes, some of the e-liquid would have run. And then this side down, you just screw it back into the base, the airflow base, tightly. Then you grab the tank and you'll grab your e-liquid dropper and just fill down the sides of the tank through the holes, and just keep filling. You don't want to overfill it, but it's fine to fill it a bit higher. I always say like 3/4 of the way is good the first time. And just with the tank, it's just got these little windows so you can see as you're filling the level of the e-liquid when you're filling it, and that helps to know how full it is. And then once you're done, you'll just screw the coil back. That's on the airflow base, and you screw that onto the mod, and then hold that upside down, and then you'll screw the tank back on top and make sure it's tight. And that's it. Cool, so once that's been sitting for a while, at least 1 minute, you'll see when you turn it on, 5 clicks to turn it on. And the beginning wattage on the device is 10 watts. So it doesn't start at 0. So what's really important is that it's already at 10 watts. What's ideal when you're breaking in a coil for any unit is you start as low as it possibly goes. 0 watts is ideal. And then you slowly increase the wattage, a couple of wattages at a time, or even 1 at a time, and just fire the unit, change the wattage, fire the unit, and that helps break in the coil. You don't want to fire it straight away, especially on a high wattage, because it'll just burn out the coil. Even if you've primed the coil, it will most likely burn out the coil. So this one starts at 10 watts, which is not bad. The coil is probably going to be okay, but it's still important when it's already at a wattage that's higher than 0 to pulse the unit. So what that means is instead of holding it down for a long period of time with the wattage, what we'd normally do is just pulse it quickly. And then when we're ready, you can see how you're going by just smelling it as well. If it smells burnt, you've burnt the coil. So it's important just to take it slow when you're breaking in the coil. So that's at 11 watts right now. Still just taking it slowly. And then 12 again. And then once you feel like it's been broken in enough, then you can start doing the longer ones. And then when you're ready, maybe you want to start on a low wattage and just see what it tastes like first before moving on. And when you're inhaling, you're just holding the fire button. At 12 watts already, the flavor is pretty strong and really nice. So that tells me that the coil's been broken in really well, and that was a success. And then from there, again, just go up in increments, 1 at a time, fire it. You don't have to fire it away from your mouth, you can fire it now. Once it's broken in, you just 13 watts, change it, 14. An interesting thing that I picked up on this device also is the up and down buttons here. It's not a big deal, but I just thought it was kind of funny. The left hand side is up, whereas the right hand side is down. But it didn't take me long to figure that out. Keep going slowly just to break in the coil, and then once it is broken and once you get to 80, you don't need to break it in again. And that airflow is quite airy for me, so I'm just gonna adjust it to be tighter because I'm a mouth to lung vapor. And that's way better for me. So now I get more of the flavor in my mouth and it's not a direct hit to my lung. The USB port is just down the bottom. When you want to charge it, just plug that into a wall adapter or a computer, and the charging icon will stay on the screen, and you'll just be able to see it charging and how full it is. And then once it's charged, the full battery will appear and then it will disappear. And when you're done, always just so if you have the airflow quite closed like that, that's great for mouth to lung vape. You're going to get heaps more flavor if you have it closed more, and you'll get a tighter draw that way. But if you're more of a direct lung person and you just want to breathe it straight into your lungs first, then you'd have it more open like that. This is the drip tip. This comes off as well. If you are after a tighter draw, that's another thing that you can change. You can just change the drip tip for one that has a smaller hole on this side, or if you're after a more airy airflow, then you can change it for a wide bore drip tip, and that just pops right on again. When you vape for the first time after it's been sitting for a while, so you turn it on again, don't straight away, just hold the fire button down first before you vape to your mouth, because after it's been sitting for a while, the e-liquid inside goes cold, and your breath to it, the heat hits the cold of the oil and it makes like a cracking noise. It's not harmful or anything, it's no big deal, but it might give you a fright the first time you vape for the first time. It makes like a pop noise, so that's all that is. So whenever I pick up my vape for the first time after a while, I'll just hold it down, let it make the crack noise. It'll only do it once, and then start vaping. The colors on this are really gorgeous and really premium looking. The quality, it's super heavy, and it's got this velvety, nice feel, just like the black Polaris Mini. I really like the fire button on it. It's just seamless. It doesn't stick out. That means it's not going to randomly go off in your bag or anything like that, or your pocket. And the best thing, of course, it goes to 80 watts. So that is the Titan 80 watt.